Chapters 15 through 18 of the Book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ from the American Bible Union's New Testament. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 15 through 18 of the Book of Revelation. Chapter 15. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having 7 plagues, which are the last, because in them is completed the wrath of God. And I saw as it were a sea of glass, mingled with fire, and those who had gained the victory over the beast and over his image and over the number of his name, standing by the sea of glass, having harps of God. And they sing the song of Moses the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God the Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thou King of the nations. Who shall not fear, O Lord, and glorify thy name? Because thou alone art holy, because all the nations shall come and worship before thee, because thy judgments are made manifest. And after these things I saw, and the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. And there came forth the 7 angels, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure shining linen, and girded about the breasts with golden girdles. And one of the 4 animals gave to the 7 angels 7 golden cups, full of the wrath of God who lives forever and ever. And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power, and no one was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels should be completed. Chapter 16. And I heard a loud voice out of the temple, saying to the 7 angels, Go, and pour out the 7 cups of the wrath of God into the earth. And the first departed, and poured out his cup into the earth. And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men who have the mark of the beast, and who worship his image. And the second poured out his cup into the sea, and it became blood as of a dead man. And every living thing died that was in the sea. And the third poured out his cup into the rivers and the fountains of water, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters saying, Righteous art thou, who art and who wast holy, because thou didst thus judge, because they shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink. They are worthy. And I heard out of the altar one saying, Even so, Lord God the Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. And the fourth poured out his cup upon the sun, and it was given to it to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, who has the power over these plagues, and repented not to give him glory. And the fifth poured out his cup upon the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became darkened, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven, because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their works. And the sixth poured out his cup upon the great river, the Euphrates, and its water was dried up, that the way of the kings who are from the rising of the sun might be prepared. And I saw come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits as frogs. For they are spirits of demons, working signs, which go forth over the kings of the whole habitable world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God the Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Happy is he that watches and keeps his garments, that he may not walk naked, and they see his shame. And they gathered them into the place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And the 7th poured out his cup upon the air, and there came forth a loud voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is Done! And there were lightnings and voices and thunders, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since there was a man upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And Babylon the great was remembered before God, to give to her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and mountains were not found. And great hail as of a talent's weight came down out of heaven upon men, and men blasphemed God on account of the plague of the hail, because the plague thereof was exceeding great. Chapter 17. And there came one of the 7 angels who have the 7 cups, and talked with me, saying, Come hither. I will show thee the judgment of the great harlot that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman sitting upon a scarlet beast, full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was clothed in purple and scarlet, and gilded with gold, and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and the impurities of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of the harlots and of the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the witnesses of Jesus. And I wondered when I saw her with great wonder. And the angel said to me, Wherefore didst thou wonder? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and is to come up out of the abyss, and to go into perdition. And they will wonder who dwell on the earth, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, seeing the beast that he was, and is not, and shall come. Here is the mind that has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits, and they are 7 kings. The 5 are fallen, and the one is, the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must remain a little time. And the beast that was and is not, he also is an 8th, and is of the 7, and goes into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, who received no kingdom as yet, but receive authority as kings 1 hour, along with the beast. These have one mind, and give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, because he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they who are with him are called, and chosen, and faithful. And he says to me, The waters which thou sawest, where the harlot sits, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns and the beast, these will hate the harlot, and will make her desolate and naked, and will eat her flesh, and will burn her up with fire. For God put it into their hearts to do his will, and to form one purpose, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is the great city, which has a kingdom over the kings of the earth. Chapter 18. After these things I saw another angel coming down out of heaven, having great authority, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become a habitation of demons, and a hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Because all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth became rich out of the abundance of her luxury. And I heard another voice out of heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye partake not in her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins reached unto heaven, and God remembered her iniquities. Reward her as she also rewarded, and render twofold according to her works. In the cup which she mixed, mix for her twofold. By as much as she glorified herself and lived luxuriously, so much torment and mourning give her, because in her heart she says, I sit a queen and not a widow, and shall not see mourning. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, and mourning, and famine, and she shall be burned up with fire, because strong is the Lord God who judged her. And the kings of the earth, who committed fornication and lived luxuriously with her, shall weep, and shall lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas! Alas! The great city Babylon, the mighty city, because in 1 hour thy judgment is come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, because no one buys their lading any more. The lading of gold, and of silver, and of precious stones, and of pearls, and of fine linen, and of purple, and of silk, and of scarlet, and all citron wood, and every vessel of ivory, and every vessel of most precious wood, and of brass, and of iron, and of marble, and cinnamon, and amomum, and odors, and ointment, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and cattle, and sheep, and lading of horses, and of chariots, and of slaves, and souls of men. And the fruit that thy soul desired departed from thee, and all the dainty and goodly things perished from thee, and thou shalt no more find them. The merchants of these things, who became rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and mourning, saying, Alas! Alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen, and purple, and scarlet, and gilded with gold, and precious stone, and pearls, because in 1 hour so great riches are made desolate. And every pilot, and every one that sails to any place, and seamen, and as many as do business at sea, stood afar off, and cried out when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, Who is like to the great city? And they cast dust upon their heads, and cried out, weeping and mourning, saying, Alas! Alas, the great city, whereby all that have the ships in the sea became rich by reason of her costliness, because in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye saints, ye apostles, and ye prophets, because God judged your cause upon her. And a strong angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall Babylon the great city be cast down, and shall be found no more. And the voice of harpers, and of musicians, and of pipers, and of trumpeters shall be heard in thee no more, and no craftsman of whatever craft shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard in thee no more. And the light of a lamp shall shine in thee no more, and the voice of bridegroom and of bride shall be heard in thee no more, because thy merchants were the great men of the earth, because by thy sorcery all the nations were led astray. And in her was found the blood of prophets, and of saints, and of all that have been slain upon the earth. The end of chapters 15 through 18 of the Book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ from the American Bible Union's New Testament. Recording by Mark Penfold.